Most people think Christmas is the safest night of the year. Lights glow in every window, carols drift through the air, families lock their doors early, children sleep with full bellies and peaceful dreams. But what if that false sense of safety is exactly what it feeds on? Because tonight's story isn't about a monster that hunts in the dark. It's about something that waits for you to feel the most protected before it shows itself. And once you see it, you never sleep the same way again. 3 months before Christmas, I moved back into my childhood home. Not because I wanted to, because I had nowhere else to go. My mother had died that October. Sudden, silent. The kind of death where you can still hear someone's voice in the walls long after they're gone. My father had vanished 10 years earlier under circumstances no one liked to talk about. So when the house was passed down to me, I didn't feel lucky. I felt buried. The house sat at the edge of a small, snow-choked neighborhood. Tall trees, no street lights. One long, cracked driveway leading to a front door that never felt welcoming. At night, it felt wrong. Not haunted, not scary, just wrong. Like the walls were remembering things that I wasn't. But winter came fast. My savings were gone. I had no other options. So I stayed, and I tried to convince myself that Christmas would make it feel alive again. It started small. 2 weeks before Christmas, I came home late. Snow was heavy, wind howling, decorations glittering in every neighbor's yard. Everyone had lights, everyone had warmth, everyone had laughter inside their walls, except mine. I parked the car, got out, and noticed the footprints in the snow. They weren't leading to the house. They were circling it. Perfect circles, over and over. Bare footprints, human. No shoes, no socks, just bare skin pressed into freezing snow. I froze, stared at them, and something inside me whispered, "You're not alone." I erased them before going inside. Didn't tell anyone, didn't call police, because some instinct told me they weren't meant to be seen. My friend Mark convinced me to install cameras, cheap ones, old ones, off-brand, just to feel safe. One facing the driveway, one on the backyard, one inside the living room. I never expected them to actually record anything. 3 nights before Christmas, I checked the footage out of boredom. At 2:11 a.m., something moved at the edge of the backyard frame. It wasn't walking, it wasn't crawling, it was bending, like a man trying to crawl without touching his knees. Long arms, jerky movements, head twitching unnaturally. And then it looked at the camera, and it smiled. But it didn't look like a human smile. It looked stretched, like it was trying to remember how to be a person. After that night, I started hearing things. Soft knocks at the walls. 3 taps. Always 3. Walls don't make sounds like that. Windows don't make sounds like that. And then the whispers started. Not loud, not dramatic. Soft. Almost kind. Right outside my bedroom door, saying my name. Over and over. In my mother's voice. By Christmas night, I was exhausted. No sleep, no appetite, no friends. Only the sound of a house breathing around me. I tried to make it feel normal. Lit the tree, turned on Christmas music, cooked a simple dinner. Snow falling heavily outside. Silence everywhere. At exactly 11:37 p.m., all the lights in the house went out. Not flickered, not dimmed, just dead. Total darkness. And then I heard it. Breathing. Right behind me. I didn't turn around. That's the part that scares me the most. Some instinct told me, if you see it, you won't come back from it. Slow, wet breathing. Close enough that I could feel warm air against my neck. Then, a whisper, in my mother's voice. "Why did you forget me?" I ran. Not to the door. Not to a window. I ran upstairs, locked myself in my old childhood bedroom, the room where I used to sleep safely, where I used to think monsters couldn't reach. The door started shaking, slowly, not breaking it down, just letting me know it was there. Then the voice changed. It wasn't my mother, it wasn't kind, it was low, rough, ancient, and it said, "You were never supposed to come back." That's when I realized the terrifying truth. It wasn't stalking this house. It had always lived here, and it remembered me. My bedroom had an old mirror built into the closet. I didn't want to look, but I had to. And when I did, I didn't see myself. I saw me standing behind me, smiling, but my reflection didn't move when I moved. It stood still, watching, mouthing words I couldn't hear. Then the words appeared on the glass in fog. "Let me in." At exactly 12 a.m., the house went silent, not quiet, dead. No wind, no creaks, no pipes, nothing. Then I felt a hand press against my back, not cold, not monstrous, warm, real, human. And a voice behind me whispered, "You opened the door when you came back." The lights came back on. The house was normal. The tree was lit. No creature, no shadow, no breathing. Just me, standing alone. Or so I thought. The police found nothing. No signs of forced entry, no footprints, no camera footage. The files were gone, destroyed. But last night, almost a year later, on another Christmas night, I heard the 3 taps again, and this time, they weren't on the walls. They were inside my head. And when I turned to look at the mirror, my reflection blinked and smiled. When I didn't, sometimes, the past doesn't stay buried. Sometimes, the things that know you best aren't the people who raised you. They're the things that were there before you ever understood fear. Because when you reopen doors that were sealed, you don't invite memories back. You invite things that were waiting. And now, I hear footsteps in the hallway, slow, bare, wet, moving toward my door. But I'm not scared, not anymore. Because the voice in the mirror just whispered something new, something that made my blood run cold. It said, "It's Christmas again, and this time, you're going to let me out." There are things in this world that don't chase you. They don't scream. They don't break down doors. They don't drag you screaming into the dark. They wait. They study. They let you think you survived. And then, they come back when you feel safest, because they don't just want to scare you. They want to finish what they started. The year between that Christmas and the next one didn't feel real. I stayed in the house, not because I wanted to, but because something inside me didn't let me leave. People think fear makes you run. That isn't always true. Sometimes it makes you stay. Sometimes it convinces you that if you leave, something worse will follow you. So I stayed, and every night, I listened, waited, recorded. I left the cameras running. I never checked them, because part of me already knew. If I saw it again, I wouldn't be able to pretend anymore. By October, things started changing. Items I left broken were suddenly repaired. A cracked picture frame, fixed. A loose cabinet hinge, tightened. A dripping kitchen pipe, sealed. At first I thought I was losing time, or sleepwalking. But then, I found a note, not written in pen, not written by hand, but etched lightly into the wooden countertop, like fingernail marks. "I'm helping." That's when I understood. It wasn't hiding anymore. It was integrating, blending, learning, living alongside me. 2 nights before Christmas, I finally watched the camera footage. I wish I hadn't. 2:43 a.m. living room camera. The room was empty, tree glowing, lights blinking, and then I walked into frame. Or at least, something that looked like me did. It moved wrong. Arms too stiff, blinking too slow, smile too wide. It walked up to the camera. stared directly into the lens, and whispered something. No audio, but the caption generator picked up. He doesn't know yet. The timestamp said, I was asleep upstairs when this happened. The night before Christmas Eve, I heard my father's voice. I hadn't heard it in over 10 years, not in real life, not in my head. He said my name, softly, gently, through the wall. I followed the sound, down the hallway toward the spare bedroom. The door was open. The room was empty, but the closet mirror had fog on it, and in the fog, words were written. He left you. I stayed. That's when something inside me broke, because I finally realized this thing wasn't just haunting the house. It had been raising itself alongside my family, watching us, learning us, waiting until I was old enough to understand it. December 25th. It snowed harder than the year before. The neighborhood felt dead, lights glowing softly in every house, but no movement, no cars, no laughter, just quiet. The kind of quiet that feels staged, manufactured, like a scene waiting for something terrible to happen. I didn't decorate the tree. I didn't cook. I sat in the dark living room and waited. At 11:11 p.m., the taps started. 3 slow knocks from inside the walls. Not outside, inside. At 11:47 p.m., the temperature dropped so fast my breath turned to fog, but the windows weren't open. The doors were locked. Then, the wallpaper started to move, not tearing, not peeling, breathing like skin. And the whisper came back, no longer pretending, no longer soft, no longer kind. It said, "We made you." That's when the floorboards stretched, bent, cracked, and opened. Not broken, opened, like a mouth. And I saw what was under the house. There was no dirt, no pipes, no foundation. There was a room, bigger than the house itself. A room made of old wood and nails, covered in handprints, human, child-sized, adult-sized, and drawings. Pictures of my family, my mother, my father, me, over and over again. And in the center was a chair, an old wooden chair, facing a cracked standing mirror, and tied to that chair was someone who looked just like me, but older, broken, thin, and smiling. He looked at me, or I guess I looked at me, and he said, "You finally came back." His voice was mine, but tired, like it had been screaming for years. Then the walls started whispering. The ceiling started breathing. The house wasn't a house, it was a body, a thing that had wrapped a shell around itself and lived among people and raised us and fed on us. And now it was done watching. It was time to switch. The man in the chair started laughing. Not insane laughter, not hysterical, relieved. He said, "You were never the original. You were the copy. You were the thing they sent upstairs when I couldn't pretend anymore. You were created because I lost my mind. And now, it's your turn." I don't remember screaming. I remember stepping forward. I remember sitting in the chair. I remember the ropes tightening by themselves. I remember the house closing its floor around me. And I remember seeing me walking back upstairs, not broken, not scared, smiling, perfectly normal, living my life, taking my place. And I realized something horrifying. I wasn't the victim. I was the replacement. There are houses you live in, and there are houses that live in you. There are nightmares, and there are inheritances. There are families, and there are systems that repeat. Sometimes, you don't survive the monster. Sometimes, you become the version of it that can walk outside. It's Christmas night again. I'm tied to the chair, below the house, alone, but not afraid, because I can hear footsteps upstairs, soft, confident, normal. I hear my own voice laughing, decorating the tree, living a life I don't belong to. And then, The mirror in front of me fogs, and words appear. Thank you for staying. I smile, because now I understand. The house doesn't haunt you, it replaces you. And upstairs, I hear the front door open, and someone new just came home. If you made it this far, you're one of us now. Like the video and subscribe before it finds you.